for at least the last, I don't know, 2 years. Let's see, it might have been as early as 2021, but at the very least in 2022, we started talking about and noticing and talking about all of the crazy things that were happening with this food supply. I'd be like, hey, did you notice there's been like a sharp increase in food production plants that are just sort of burning up, getting sabotaged, blowing up in some cases? And what about all the chickens that are getting culled? And what about all the cows that are mysteriously dying? It's like somebody's attacking our food. I mean, that seemed to be the case, and it has continued to be the case for a long time. This is one of the reasons that the food prices have gone up so much higher, so much faster than other things. Yes, we're experiencing mega inflation, but food is getting it hit hard. It's one of the reasons that we even launched my company in the first place, and we're very happy to have done that. But everything happened, like everything, you can only fight off the inevitable for so long, and so we are in the very, very near future, not sure what day or anything like that, but very soon, we are going to have to raise our prices. And so as a result of this, and I actually have a meeting, I'm not going to say when, but I have a meeting to discuss all of this and how much we're going to raise prices and all that stuff. But in the meantime, as owner of the company, I can still offer what I believe to be a good, awesome deal. So go to preparewithbeef.com. And once you're there, just use promo code JDR. Use promo code JDR to get the maximum discount. As of right now, as I'm recording to this episode, we are at 30%, and we're doing that ahead of the anticipated price hike. So do yourself a favor, do your family a favor, do everybody a favor, and go there now and use promo code JDR. You're listening to the J.D. Rucker Show. Let's begin. Every morning when I wake up, I wonder if there's going to be an opportunity to have a truly, legitimately, full-blown positive show. I really do. And it's something that I'm not necessarily right when I wake up, but when I first think about, wonder what I'm going to talk about today. That's the thought process. Is it going to be a positive one? And it's gotten almost cliche in my own mind, almost like an inside joke for an audience of one, right? It's like, are we going to have a positive show today? Of course not. And yeah, I want you to know that I would love to. I want to. I mean, it would be great for ratings. I would be able to pick up, if I could ever just focus a show on owning the libs or hey, great things happening in the economy or in the homelessness crisis or the border crisis or any other crisis. If I could just do that, then I assure you, I would be able to double, triple, quadruple my ratings. The number of viewers that I get on a regular basis. Unfortunately, I have to be Mr. Doom and Gloom because my focus, my goal is to report the truth. The truth is that we are in a position of great awesomeness around us. It does help or hurt, depending on what your perspective is. It helps me being a Bible-believing Christian because I believe I'm better suited to weather the negative news more so than a lot of other people because I do know. I've read the book. I know how it ends. I know where we're going to be. I know what happens after we go through all of this chaos, the evil in the world. And there is plenty. Outside of even just the news. I mean, we get to talk about the news every day, right? And that's bad enough. But the stuff that's not covered by the news, that's even worse in many cases. I would say most cases. If you gave me, say, a week-long project and said, Rucker, lock me in a room, give me access to a computer and a pen and just said, you know what, just go pick out, the worst things that you know about in the world. I would say 7, 8, maybe even 9 of them would be things that aren't covered by corporate media. And we do try to cover a lot of them there. But lately, I've been having to focus on the corporate media reports because it has been pretty bad. Of course, this morning we learned, last night, for me, if you were up as late as I was, learned that, yes, the port strike is happening. How long is it going to last? How will it affect the economy? How will it affect basic living conditions? This isn't just a matter of, oh, well, our GDP is going to drop, or we're going to have to pay $4.25 billion per day in order to cover this. Yeah, those things are reality. But, I mean, what about just basic day-to-day stuff? Oh my gosh, we don't have access to anything. That could happen depending upon how long this lasts. And it doesn't take long. Like I said yesterday, a 2-week strike could decimate the economy just ahead of Christmas, too. We're just now getting in, well, depending upon who you ask, we should just be getting into Christmas season to the point that, retailers are expecting big numbers for the next 2 months. And will they be able to? Will they even have the goods to be able to sell? And will the people even have the money to be able to buy? These are questions we have to ask, and questions that we desperately need answers to. And if you think, oh, well, that's just the way it is. It's not. This is the way it is under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. Let's be clear about that. Even the dock workers, the ones that were on strike, they went on Fox News yesterday, and they were like, hey, was it yesterday? No, it was this morning. They went on Fox News this morning. They're like, hey, we want wage increase because with inflation's killing us. Our wages aren't rising as fast as inflation. We're all struggling. It's basically what they said. I might play that later, but I don't need to. That's what they said. Not verbatim, but that's pretty much the gist of that particular clip. Before we get into any of that stuff, I want to start with Iran is full-blown attacking New York. Jeez. Scratch that. There was what? What? No. Sorry. Doing too many things at once. Iran is attacking Israel, as was expected. The United States warned that they would be attacking, and sure enough, this after, depending on which time zone you're in, the morning or afternoon, the news came through. Let me pull up that story. Let's just start there. But before we do that, I do want to reiterate that we are in the midst, because of the anticipated port strike, because of the anticipated shortages, the effects on the supply chain, the economic turmoil that is now starting. It was bad enough before, but it's sort of like, that was really, really bad. Now, that was pregame. All the economic turmoil that we've experienced over the last 4 years, that was the pregame. Now we get into the real stuff. It's like, oh my gosh. And the real stuff, of course, is going to be shortages, price hikes, everything. So as a result, we are extending, of course, and we'll be extending it for as long as we can. I don't know how long we can do it because we're at a loss on this one. Like, we literally lose money every time we sell our beef at 35% off. But talking to the partners, it's like, guys, people are struggling. We got to do this. We know that price hikes are coming. We're going to have to raise our prices here very, very soon. So before we do that, we want to go ahead and, we've got some stocks. We've got some inventory in stock that we were smart enough to start accumulating because we knew beef prices were going to go up. They're not going to go down at any point. So before they went up too high, we started just keeping the machines running literally 24/7 and got in as many bags as we can. Now we're going to essentially give back. So if you go to worldviewbeef.com, for as long as we're financially able to, could be, I don't know when we run out. Actually, sales yesterday was so incredible that it might not be going for very long at all. But 35% off if you use promo code STOCKUP35 at worldviewbeef.com. Yeah, STOCKUP35, and then, like I said, that'll go until we can't, till my partners cry and we're out of money. We'll probably shut down. No, I'm laughing, but that's not. We're not probably not going to shut down, but we'll see. We have to redo the math. But right now, America needs it. So this story over at 7 Israel National News. IsraelNationalNews.com. Iran launches attack of over 400 missiles on Israel. Iran launches attack on the state of Israel, triggering sirens throughout the country. Over 400 missiles fired at the Jewish state. A short while ago, and this, of course, in the morning, a short while ago, missiles were launched from Iran toward the state of Israel. Over 400 missiles launched. The IDF stated in a message to Israeli citizens, you are instructed to remain alert and precisely follow the Home Front Command's instructions. In the last few minutes, the Home Front Command has distributed life-saving instructions in various areas across the country. The public is asked to adhere to the Home Front Command's guidelines. Upon hearing a siren, you must enter a protected space and remain there until further notice. The IDF is doing and will do everything necessary to protect the civilians of the state of Israel. And it's just missiles. If you can picture missiles flying, a lot of them, that's what that video is about. In addition, IDF spokesperson Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari stated in an announcement to the nation, "Dear citizens, a short time ago, missiles were launched from Iran towards the state of Israel. You are asked to remain vigilant and follow the Home Front's command's instructions precisely. In the last few minutes, the Home Front Command has sent messages to mobile phones in certain areas with life-saving instructions, yada, yada, yada. Air defense is fully operational, detecting and intercepting threats wherever necessary, even at this moment. However, the defense is not hermetic, and therefore it is essential to follow the Home Front Command's instructions. You may hear explosions, which could be the result of interceptions or impacts. Due to the variety of threats, alarms may be triggered in widespread areas. Stay updated on the instructions via the official pages of the Home Front Command," and the IDF spokesperson. Sorry, not reading very well today. Trying to get through this because I know it's boring when I read it, but every word is important. "Continue to act responsibly and keep calm as you have done so far, and make sure to follow the guidelines. We are strong and we can handle this event as well. The IDF is doing and will continue to do everything, yada, yada, yada." Okay. So, I mean, we knew it was coming. We knew that Iran, they've been sitting back. They've been sort of playing their little chess game for a long time. I mean, we're talking years. Okay. And that's what they do. They have always relied on their proxies. That is what they do. They don't like to get their own hands dirty, so they push their proxies in Yemen. They push their proxies in Qatar, in Lebanon. Everywhere they have influence, they have proxies who can act as terrorists, who can act sometimes as a mini military. Okay, and this is what they do. They don't want to get their own hands dirty. Unfortunately, their biggest proxy, Hezbollah, was hit hard, and I mean smacked across the face and had their earrings ripped out and their tongues sliced. They were just devastated by the attacks of Israel that Israel made over the weekend. So Iran, now, they are getting directly involved in their second attack on Israel in less than 6 months. But this one is much bigger. This one is a big one. And, unfortunately, I have, in show prep, this was the most recent news. For all I know, I could get out of the show and find out that this attack has been devastating, that Israel has been hit very hard. And God forbid that, I don't want, and look, it's not just for Israel's sake, to be clear. Okay. This is for our sake. You might say, Zionists deserve this, or the Israelis, or the Muslims, or whatever, I mean, this isn't about, my concern, the reason I'm covering this so closely is because we are going to get involved, whether we want to or not, if this escalates much further. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be back in the Middle East. I don't want a single American troop in the Middle East. Ever. Okay? I mean, it's a quagmire. That's where you don't get involved there. And we're going to. If this continues to escalate, we're going to get involved. And that doesn't matter if it's Biden, Harris, or Trump, or whoever. Whoever is in office will get us involved in the Middle East once again if Iran and Israel turns into a full-blown war. And it looks like we're on the verge of that. So yes, you might say, what does that have to do with us? Or Zionist news? I love those comments. It's like if you mention the word Israel, you're a Zionist! and then the opposite is true too. If you say, oh, I don't want to get involved in Israel. Oh, you're an anti-Semite. It's like, no, I'm just an American. That's it. Just an American. Israel, Korea, Taiwan, Ukraine. Look, I get it. They have their problems. Okay, they do, and they're their problems. Now, no, don't get me wrong. Israel's an ally. I support Israel. I don't want to make it sound like, oh, I'm totally indifferent. And I would love to support them with intelligence. Okay, love to support them. We'll run cover for them in the United Nations. They want to buy weapons from us. We'll sell them weapons. And if they get in now, here's the thing: if they get into this like super serious trouble, then it's like, okay, well, maybe we should get involved. But it's sort of like, they got this covered. Let them do their thing. Just stay out of their way. That's it. That's my stance. Stay out of the way. Again, if they no troops, just if they need intelligence, because we got the spy satellites pointed at Beirut and Tehran and Gaza and everywhere else. Great. We'll give them intelligence. Maybe we got listening devices in the Ayatollah's mansion. Okay, great. We'll give them some tips, some pointers, some advice. And yes, if it does get bad enough, we are and probably should get involved. I just don't want it to get bad enough. That's all. I just don't want to get involved. So yeah, I'll be covering this a lot. And if you're offended in either direction, you don't think that I am sufficiently Israeli supportive enough, or you think that I am a Zionist pig or whatever, I get that a lot because I actually mention the word Israel every now and then. It's like, oh my gosh, he's an Israel first guy because he said the word Israel. Sorry. I'm not in a good mood today, okay? I'll just put that out up front. Let me just say, for the record, not in a good mood. I was really hoping to wake up and find out that the port strike, that it was averted. Hey, we decided to get together and cut a deal. Great. Awesome. Now get back to work. Go get everybody's toys that they buy or whatever. I don't even know. I was hoping that you know what? Israel and Iran said that they issued another harsh warning. We're really going to get really mad next time you attack us or attack Hezbollah. But no. Got missiles flying. Got workers striking. Teamsters are getting involved. Of course, we still haven't even remotely recovered from Hurricane Helene. It's just challenges. And it's just October 1st. What sort of October surprises do we have the rest of the month? Let's take a break. Sorry. Let's take a quick break. And when I get back, we'll find some more news. I actually know what. No, I do. I know exactly what we're going to talk about next. So stay tuned. For the last 4 years, coincidentally lining up with the Biden-Harris regime, for the last 4 years, it has made sense to a whole bunch of Americans to move their wealth or their retirement over to physical precious metals. This is a good thing. Okay, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you that it's happening. A lot of Americans are doing it, and they know why they're doing it. Between de-dollarization, inflation, the potential for recession, everything that's going on, the turmoil that's going to come with the presidential election, regardless of who wins, by the way, there's going to be economic turmoil before, during, and after the election. We know this. This is coming. So a lot of people are trying to find the higher ground of physical precious metals. The challenge there is that not all gold companies are made the same. Look, I know that you might seem like they are. It seems like, everybody's got their conservative commentators that promote them. The difference between me and these other conservative commentators and show hosts and whatever is that I actually did my research. And unfortunately, I've come to the conclusion that the other ones could not have, because if they did, many of them, not 100%, but a lot of them, if they did their research, if they knew exactly what they were promoting, there was no way they would touch these companies with a 10-foot pole. A lot of these companies are promoting their gold and silver, but they're doing so at huge markups. I mean, we're talking in sometimes over 100% markup on the gold and silver they're putting into gold IRAs. I work with a faith-driven company, Genesis Gold Group, and they do not charge enormous premiums on top of the gold in order to get you your $10,000 in free silver or whatever gimmick is being pushed. They just deal with you directly, honestly, from a faith-driven perspective. This is the only company I've ever seen in the industry that actually will sit there and pray with you. So check them out. See if they can help you. Go to rumblegold.com, and see what Genesis Gold Group can do for you today. As I said before the break, I do know exactly what I wanted to talk about, and it does have to do with Helene. I mean, it's not just the recovery efforts which are happening right now, the rescue operation. I mean, we still have many people unaccounted for, and I know that I hate to lose hope, but we are getting to that point, that amount of time where it's becoming less and less likely that we'll find survivors. You know, the best case scenario is that we'll find people that I mean, we'll find them, but it's not that they're like trapped anywhere. They just haven't been accounted for. They didn't even realize perhaps that they were considered missing or whatever. You know, that is the hope and prayer for those who are still out there missing. But it is, we covered this a bit yesterday, but here's confirmation from the placeholder, I guess you could say, for the commander-in-chief, Trader Joe Biden, confirming what we reported yesterday, which is that he's not going to do anything. Okay, that he's not going to participate. He's not going to allow his administration to participate, nor is Kamala Harris, to be clear, because this is her administration too. They're not going to allow the government to participate. Now, look, I'm big on limited government. There's certain times it's sort of like when you need government involved, where are they? When you don't want government involved, they're up in your face, right? That's standard operating procedure in Washington, D.C. Well, this is a case where there's enough damage, enough turmoil, they're facing devastation in multiple areas of North Carolina, Georgia, Florida even, okay, Tennessee. Okay, this is sort of like the area where it's like, okay, yeah, the states can help themselves, they can help each other, but the federal government can help out too. No, not this federal government. This federal government's going to rely on someone else. Who are they going to rely on? You and me.
We have rivers that are still rising. The danger is still occurring for a lot of people.
And by the way, as the FEMA can tell you, they had pre-positioned an awful lot of material throughout that area, from the Bend all the way up into Tennessee. And so the idea that we weren't prepared, the question is, no one knew exactly how devastating it would be. We knew it would be significant, and we've got a lot already in place, but there's more. But here's the point. I'm going to be asking the American people to continue to help fund the needs of these people. It's not going to be one hit and it's over. It's going to take a hell of a long time. It's going to cost a hell of a lot of money. But this is the United States of America, and we've got to do it.
He has a whole bunch of nerve. Let's just say that. You know, he can stroke out checks for Ukraine, stroke out checks for Taiwan, but he won't stroke out checks for American citizens who are stumbling. He'll stroke out a whole bunch of checks for illegal aliens, that's for sure. But for the people in North Carolina, Georgia, Tennessee, Florida, other states that are currently suffering, that are devastated, that have had their lives torn apart, he's going to call on you. Now, to be clear, I do believe that it should be the American people that help, but not through government. He's going to call on us? No. We step up. That's our job. We don't need government telling us to step up, and we definitely don't need government saying, give us money so we can go help them. Okay? You got plenty of money. You got our money. Actually, you don't have plenty of money, but because you're still printing money, but you've taken more than you should take already. So if you're out of money, great. Stop spending it. Don't spend it on Ukraine. Don't spend it on illegal aliens. Don't spend it on anything else. Just cut it all. Just cut it all off. And yeah, if we have to go work with charitable organizations, philanthropic organizations, relying on each other, just going there directly, that's what we should be doing for sure. We should be helping as best we can. But no, I'm not going to. He can't ask us to help. He doesn't have that right. Even as President of the United States, he no longer has the right to ask anything of the American people, because he has destroyed this nation more so than any president we've ever had. He and Kamala Harris are disasters. And they're trying their best to perpetuate their reign. Here's a video. This is a story from last week, but I think a lot of people saw it. Like 91,000, I think was the original number. 91,000 illegal aliens. People that weren't verified, I guess you could say. That's what they say. Verified to vote in Arizona. That they ruled, yeah, they can still vote. Well, that number was off just by a bit. Watch.
Now, this new data set, as they're calling it, brings the total number of people impacted to 218,000 instead of the 98,000 we first reported. These people were mistakenly marked as having provided documentary proof of citizenship, and Arizona voter registration database now has correctly flagged the impacted individuals. Election officials say they will contact the affected Arizonans with information regarding their status after the general election. That means for now, the Arizona Supreme Court's ruling is going to stay that impacted voters, that includes all of them, will still be able to vote.
Believe it or not, this is real life, folks. This is actually happening. What you're seeing on your screen, the words that you're hearing, this isn't some satire. It's real. They've confirmed, hey, these people not supposed to vote, and we're going to let them vote anyway. These people not legally allowed to vote in the United States of America, they're going to help decide the election in an important, a crucial swing state, no less. I mean, try to make this stuff up. I said yesterday, I said multiple times that this will be our last election if we lose it. If we lose this election, if we do not get Donald Trump into the White House, or at the very least take full control of the House and Senate, please let it be both. Okay, we need full control. I mean, but this could be our last election if we don't. One thing that I didn't note, and I did see an article. I don't think I have it up, actually. I don't. But I did read an article yesterday that basically declared nobody can save this. I mean, we can't fix this problem. The problem is too big for anybody to fix. You give Republicans complete control of the House, complete control of the Senate, put Donald Trump in the White House, all he can do is start the healing process. That's how bad off we are. I mean, if for somehow he was able to buck the odds and we're able to keep control, give Republican control, Trump the presidency 4 full years, that's not enough to undo all of the damage that's been done over the last 4 years by Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. It can't be done. Okay, and that's not just me being fatalistic or anything. That's the reality. But as even Elon Musk said, if Trump is not elected, this will be the last election. And he posted a tweet. Very few Americans realize that. If Trump is not elected, this will be the last election. Far from being a threat to democracy, he is the only one to save it. Let me explain. He does go off and explains a whole bunch. I'm not going to focus on that because I just want to, I'll leave a link to that. That's over at cauldronpool.com, a site that we don't use often, but it's a great site, But look, here's the thing. Here's the thing, as Joe Biden would say. We have to every day, and I hate talking about politics. I really legitimately do, but I'm going to keep talking about it even on days when other things are happening because we need this. We need to find strategies, avenues through which we can address the problem. And the problem is that they're going to try to steal the election. Now, the solutions, I covered those yesterday. Okay, just to recap, obviously we got to get out the vote. Obviously, we've got to do what we can to fight voter fraud. The not so obvious one, we have to make sure to expose big tech and corporate media for their lies. We need people to become aware. And I should add a fourth one in there. The easiest way to win this election is to make everybody know who Kamala Harris is, who Tim Walz is. Tonight, obviously, they're going to find out, hopefully, if he even shows up, they're going to find out who Tim Walz is. And he is a buffoon, as we've covered. But with that said, we have an opportunity here to wake people up. And we do it by exposing them to Kamala Harris and to Tim Walz. And those people that we expose, maybe they might learn that Donald Trump, they don't have to like Donald Trump in order to vote for him. And if you don't believe me, watch this.
I am actually not a Trump fan. I think that he is narcissistic, he's egotistical, he's cruel. I don't like the way that he treats people. However, when I heard that Biden was no longer going to run, I was so hopeful that we would have a stand-up person to represent our country. And it's not Kamala. One of our family members was talking to us about how he chose his surgeon. And he chose a very narcissistic surgeon who is very good at what he does. He said that he ended up making this choice not because he was kind, but because he was too egotistical to let himself fail on a life-threatening surgery. And I feel that way about Trump. I feel like even though he is narcissistic, I feel like he is too egotistical not to protect our country, and protection is what we need right now. And in the world that we're living in, I feel like Trump is the right person.
It's the, what we'll call it. Yeah, Trump is a egotistical, narcissist, rude guy, but he's your best option because the alternative is awful. There you go. That's the argument, right? You might say, well, that's a bad argument. Is it? I mean, is it? If you're talking to people that hate Trump, are you going to convince them to like him? Or is it more realistic that you'll convince them that they should embrace his narcissism, his ego? And he does. He is a narcissist, and he is egotistical. And those things, as far as for the United States of America, they've worked out in our benefit multiple times. He does not want to fail. He wants to go down in history. He wants his final term to go down in history as the greatest presidential term ever. Nothing short of that will be acceptable to him. That's why you should vote for him. All right, if you're watching on Worldview Tube, I will wish you adieu. We'll talk again tomorrow, Lord willing. And if you're watching on any of my other channels, just stay tuned. We're going to take a very, very short break, and we'll be right back. Blowout sale. You're so man, I'm so bad at these ads. Currently, there is a blowout sale happening right now over at mypillow.com/JDR. I went and checked, and there it was, blowout sale. So I thought, you know what? Let's just promote Mike Lindell and the MyPillow product by focusing on this. And this is the standard MyPillow with promo code JDR is on sale for $14.98. Limit 10. You can only get 10 of them. I think I've got more than 10 myself. But then again, I sleep a lot. So and I sleep in multiple rooms. Who knows? Maybe you got a big family. Maybe you need 10. But you can get all 10 by going to mypillow.com/JDR. You're not just supporting MyPillow. You're not just supporting your neck. You're also supporting Mike Lindell, who is a great patriot. So check it out. JDRucker.com. No, mypillow.com/JDR. Promo code JDR. All right, we're back after that very, very short break. During the break, I was able to find happening in the Middle East, and yes, Israel has reported, at least as of now, there were no wounded from the Iranian attack. That could change, of course. But so far, nothing has been reported, and they're very good at this. I mean, let's face it, this is what they've had to deal with for a long time, and so they know how to handle attacks more so than we would. We wouldn't know, and we are blessed as a nation. We're blessed in many, 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 many different ways. One of the ways that we're blessed is that those who would or could attack us militarily, there's a big, huge body of water between us. Okay? Whether it's the Atlantic Ocean or the Pacific Ocean, they have to cross a big body of water. We'll probably see them coming. Okay? It's not like the 40s. There's no Pearl Harbor that we have to worry about, at least as of now. Now, who knows what the military will look like if Kamala Harris is installed as the commander-in-chief. I cringe at that notion. But as of now, we have that advantage. But that's not to say that we couldn't have other types of incidents here that would require us to shelter. And that's why, when I see, if it does turn out that there were no injuries from that massive attack by Iran, then praise God for that, and also, praise Israel for their preparedness. I don't think we're as prepared. It's not that I don't think we're not, because we don't have to deal with it. Okay, I mean, when was the last time you were bombed? A lot of these people have been bombed dozens of times in their lifetimes. So so they have preparations made. They have protocols. They have everything they need to try to survive an attack such as what Iran just did. But there are reports from Israel that they're going to retaliate and retaliate directly against Iran. That has happened once recently, where Iran tried to attack Israel, sent drones and cruise missiles and all sorts of stuff. They were repelled, and then Israel did one single strike, and more effective that one single more effective than the launches from Iran. Iran has a very powerful military, but number one, take advantage of their greatest strength within their military, which is the sheer size, because they can't get to Israel very easily. The only way that the most viable way they can attack is by air, and that's where Israel's defense is the strongest. So, I don't want to make this. Sometimes it makes it seem as if Iran is weak. They're not weak. They're just they can't crack that nut. They can't figure out how to solve that particular puzzle of being able to attack Israel directly. Israel has not only is there the land challenge, the land that they'd have to cut through Iraq to get to Israel, and that's just not going to happen. And even if they tried to, then they wouldn't make it. Once they got into Iraq, they would be obliterated. So there's that. But then you say, okay, so they can attack through the air, except Israel has massive air superiority. Plus, then you look at the Iron Dome and their other air defenses. It's a fortress in many ways. This little nation, the size of New Jersey, is very hard to penetrate. And Iran is learning that. That's one of the reasons why they haven't tried very often. In this case, they had to do something to save face, but even this was more symbolic than anything else. This is why they've even come out and said, Israel says they're going to attack. Iran says, if you try to counterstrike, then we're going to get even madder. But in other words, they're not trying to escalate it beyond this strike. That's it. If Israel does not attack back, then Iran will let this go. They've made their statement, so to speak. They've saved face, I guess, with their people. Except here's the thing: Israel will attack back. We'll see it. Let's go to this article over at JPost. I don't usually like JPost, but I don't have JPost. Never mind. Scratch that. I'll just read a little bit from it. IDF chief spokesman Daniel Hagari at 8:30 p.m. following Iran's massive ballistic missile attack on Israel on Tuesday said, "We do not now see other aerial threats from Iran, so we issued instructions to the Israeli populace to leave safety areas. During our defense, we shot down not a few, many of the threats. There have been some critical hits in central Israel and in other parts of the country. We have not heard that there are wounded persons. Do not give recordings or information about where there are hits." Okay, so I guess they just don't want to. They don't want to know, or they don't want the enemy to know where they're most vulnerable. We are ready on defense and on attack. We have plans. There will be consequences. We will at the moment, which we decide. We will act at the moment which we decide. So yeah. So no reports yet. That could change. We'll see. We'll see if it changes. Yeah. So let's go. This is one but I'm going to anyway, just because, look, we could use some happiness. I talked, if you missed in the beginning, I talked about how I wake up every day and I wonder, is today going to be the day where I get to have a truly, legitimately positive show? Well, here's one for you. I wouldn't say this is positive, like, this makes me feel good about the world, but this is advice from somebody whose accent escapes me. It sounds sort of Creole, I think, but I'm pretty sure it is, but it's a weird dialect if it is. It's an old man in a water giving you advice, and you should take it. It's good advice.
A lot of people ask if I'm scared of the alligators while I'm swimming around in the lake, and the answer is no, brother. I don't know why, but them scaly critters don't bother me at all. But I'll tell you this, and I know it don't make no sense, but my number one fear in the world is sharks, man. Sharks scare the absolute crap out of me, man. And I'm here in the ocean, my heart is pounding. I'm scared out of my mind, but I'll tell you this. The odds of me getting attacked by a shark are about 1 in 4 million. The odds of me regretting not getting in the ocean, well, that's 1 in 1, brother. I know for a fact I'll be kicking myself all next week if I don't relax in the water at least once, man. Life is about taking risks, facing your fears, being scared, man. I ain't saying go do nothing dangerous, but ask that cutie out behind the coffee counter you're in love with, man. Move to the new city that you've been dreaming of. Take a risk. The odds of you regretting going for it are 1 in however many numbers. The odds of you regretting not going for it, that's 1 in 1, but it's gonna be 1 in 1 every time. You gotta go out and live your damn life, man.
Live your damn life, man. That's what he said. It is good advice. Look, I don't agree necessarily that it's 1 out of 1 if you don't think that you're going to regret it. There's a lot of things I've done in my life, or there's a lot of things that I chose not to do in my life that I did not regret. I can assure you of that. But he's right in that a lot you will have regrets for the things that you don't try. You know, if you have something that's important to you, something that you are passionate about, and you don't try that, oh, now that is where you do get into regrets. And I have had those, at least in my youth. I've definitely had those. Don't get me started on Bitcoin. But it's like, man, this looks interesting. Should I try it? No, it's probably going to fail. But I could pick up like 1,000 for $1. It's like, no, it's probably going to be nothing. Oh, okay. Anyway. No. But as far as most recently, you know, I built my life around that concept of trying to do. I've situated my life with my family in a way that allows me to, number one, first and foremost, this is how I believe I can honor my Lord and Savior the best, by getting out there and talking about him. Now, again, to be clear, that was the intention. I haven't fulfilled it yet by any means, but I'm at least heading in that direction. My goal, my intention, my dream is to someday do more gospel-oriented shows. I'm not a pastor. I'm not even an elder. I'm not anything. I'm a layman. But all of us need to be. It's not like, oh, if you're a pastor, then you are supposed to make disciples of the nations. No, it's anybody. All of us. We are supposed to, according to Matthew. So that's what I would love to do. And I'm striving that direction. We gotta win the selection first, and then we'll see. We'll see what happens after that, right? But in the meantime, here we are. So yeah, good advice there. Here's one. This is one. Oh gosh, I hope I don't think there's any curse words in this. I don't like anything with curse words. But I was only half listening when I saw it, and I thought, I need to include that one because we're seeing a lot. And if there's one thing, there's two issues. Okay, let's start with the issues that she can't talk about. What can Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? They've failed at delivering the message when it comes to the economy. They've tried, but that's they're getting debunked even by corporate media. As far as the border, just a disaster. Okay, the border SAR finally went down to the border, did a 20-minute thing, and it is like, wow, okay, good job there. That sure won over hearts and minds. Not. There's a lot of issues where she's failed at, but the two issues where she has the most potential for momentum, and that's it, because I'm not saying potential for votes, I'm saying potential for momentum for her to build her campaign upon, would be, of course, abortion. That's the easy one, right? It's not easy. The topic is not easy, but for her, that's the easy button, because it's like, hey, if I just focus on abortion, then that will make her whatever, right? I don't think it works, because I don't think that nearly as many people believe in the whole abortion, abortion all the way up to birth, all the way beyond birth. I don't think there's as many Americans as they think who actually support that concept. Who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Gosh, I hope I'm not wrong. That would be awful. But but the other issue is, of course, the women's issue. Trump is a misogynist. Trump is against women. He's going to kill women and kill them and stuff. Well, here's a clip from a young lady, and I've seen her before. I think I've never known her name, but I think, if I recall, I think she's like a TikTok form of a former leftist. I hate to say it, but these young men and women that are getting out there and announcing their conservatism, right on. Except I don't really pay much attention to them. They're just so young. It's like, okay, that's great, sweetheart. Bless your heart. And I don't mean to sound condescending. It's just how I feel. It's just it's like, okay, great, yeah, good stuff there. But she makes a good argument. Okay, this particular young influencer makes a good argument, and so she gets time on the JD Rucker Show.
I'm sorry, I am so tired of the tens of thousands of just hard fours online being like, I'm voting for her because he's gonna strip all of our rights away as a woman. I can do that as a mom and a da. What rights, babe? What rights? He was already president, and how many rights did you lose? 0. He's trying to protect women's rights. What do you think it is when we have men in women's sports? We have men in our personal spaces. What do you think it is when dangerous men come over the border? That's what protecting women and children is. Oh, he already said he's not going to do a nationwide abortion ban. He's not going to do it. If anything, it's going to be state by state the way it has been. And guess what? If a state, 90% of people in a state want something, I think that state should have it, even if I don't agree with it. If you don't like it, move to another state. It's very simple. Stop with the propaganda. This is why people make fun of women. Use your brain. Use your brain, babe.
What do you think? Good argument? Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's a decent argument, but it's worth. Look, there's got to be some point that steps up. We're seeing a lot of them. We really are seeing a lot of leaders stepping up amongst the younger people, especially those who've gone through the indoctrination of high school and junior high, apparently, gone through the indoctrination and come out on top. That demonstrates. It was easier. Look, when I was a kid, it was easier to be conservative. I grew up in Oklahoma, okay? So we were already, the conservatives out in my high school outnumbered the leftists by far, okay? We did. So so it was easy. Now I see what it's like to be on the opposite side. Of course, now I'm living out here in California, but especially, it doesn't matter what state you're in today. If you go to college, chances are very strong. Even if you go to a Christian college, you're going to receive some sort of leftist indoctrination, even if it's just mildly woke. Woke is just woke, okay? Let's take a short break, and then when we get back, I'll finish this off. So stay tuned. Do you have any aches and pains? Chronic inflammation might be the culprit. Meet Sweetamine, the natural way to fight inflammation. Sweetamine is packed with the amino acid glycine, the same nutrient found in bone broth that helps to regulate inflammation. Many of the diseases we face today are rooted in glycine deficiency. Just one daily serving of Sweetamine provides 8 grams of glycine, enough to stop excess inflammation right where it starts. Most people feel pain reduction after just a few days. Perfect for post-workout recovery, Sweetamine is all natural, contains no sugars or carbs, and has only 24 calories. It's ideal for diabetics, too. Use it like sugar in your favorite drinks, smoothies, or sprinkled on cereal. Try our 12-day challenge trial pack for only $19.95 with free shipping, completely risk-free. And for a limited time, enter promo code RUCKER at checkout for a $5 discount. Order Sweetamine now at sweetamine.com or call 855-GET-SWEET. That's 855-438-7933. Live pain-free with Sweetamine and take the challenge today. I would say it's definitely best practice in today's world to have a med kit available with you wherever you go, whether it's in your car or at home. Have a med kit available is good. Except they can get expensive. I know that some of the ones that I've been looking at are very pricey, in the hundreds, sometimes close to $1,000 for a med kit. It's like, hey, I might as well get my doctor's degree. But hey, some of you might want that. For people like me, I want something a little bit more affordable. So I've gotten myself and my family the Sidekick. I've gotten actually multiple because I put them in my car. I keep them at home. They are good. And you can get yours by going to jdrucker.com/sidekick. That's jdrucker.com/sidekick. So over the break, I did check out thelibertydaily.com, and I did find a story that showed, wow, I was wrong. Or I wasn't wrong. I just didn't have all the information at the time. But there apparently were deaths today in Israel. They just didn't come from the rockets. They came from or the missiles, I should say. They came from terrorists. It looks like, according to Human Events, multiple dead, injured after a suspected terrorist shooting near Tel Aviv. Mass shooting in Jaffa, bordering Tel Aviv, has left at least 8 people dead and 7 injured at the time of writing, according to local officials, who also stated the Israeli police unit believes it was terror-related. The shooting took place just before Iran fired a large amount of missiles into various parts of Israel, including central Israel, as reported by the Israeli Defense Forces. Per Fox News, the shooting took place around a light rail station on Jerusalem Street. Authorities have reported that 2 people believed to be the shooters have been neutralized. So we'll see. I mean, was it terror-related? Almost certainly. Was the timing coincidental, or was it planned? I would argue it's probably planned. Okay, which means that they're communicating with people inside of Israel, which means that there might have been other attacks and there might be future attacks. Then again, it could just be a lone wolf. Just, hey, today's the day we're going to go commit acts of terror near Tel Aviv. Who knows? We don't, and we never will, because this kind of information does not travel well. I am going to play one more video. It's a short video, and it's funny because it's 2 days in a row that I played Carrie Lake. But yesterday I had noted that if we are going to truly make it through these times, through this election, number one, but also through the rest of the hard times, we're going to have to call out corporate media every opportunity we get. And I get it. Not all of us are Carrie Lake. None of us, actually, unless you're Carrie Lake. None of us are Carrie Lake. So we don't necessarily get interviewed by CNN or have the opportunity to call them out to their faces, but she did. So, and she did, and that's good. But we need to expose corporate media for what they are. We need to expose big tech. And you might be like, wow, how are we supposed to do that? We don't have the resources. We don't have the time. We don't have the energy. We don't have the insider information. You don't need any of that. I'm not saying expose them like Carrie Lake did out to the public. I'm talking about just talking to your friends and family, explaining to them that tell them that you used to trust the news too. And it wasn't because of Trump that you stopped believing the news. It's because of the news that you stopped believing the news. Okay. I remember when Trump first started talking about fake news, I'll admit, I thought I was a little skeptical. I thought, you know what, there's propaganda, but it's not like as widespread as he's claiming. And then I started watching, started noticing, and started seeing it evolve and realized, holy crap, he's right. This really is as bad as it gets. I mean, this is horrible. It is. And it's getting worse. They just keep extending further and further and further to the left. Even Fox News. Anybody who still watches Fox News, I'm sorry for you. You shouldn't. Okay, they are controlled opposition at best. And there are times when they are unabashedly anti-Trump, unabashedly anti-American. Okay, they are a globalist organization, in my humble opinion. I'm not talking about the individual show hosts. Some of them might be conservative. I don't know. I don't watch them, so I couldn't tell you. But we know the news organization is very much to the left. We know that the executives within the company, the owners within the company, are very much to the left. And I would argue that the producers, even many of the producers for the quote-unquote conservative hosts, many of them will lean to the left, if not be completely and totally controlled by the left, by the globalists, to be more specific. But we'll see. Let's play this clip by Carrie Lake, and then we'll finish up.
Do we have any questions over here? Your name and who you're with?
Where's you with CNN?
Did you say Veronica, CNN?
Yes.
Do you think a 20-minute visit by Kamala Harris was enough at the border? 20 minutes? I mean, that's almost longer than CNN Plus was around. Just a little bit. Do you think 20 minutes was appropriate for Kamala Harris to spend at the border?
I'm going to withhold my opinion on that.
Well, okay. You know it's not enough to cover the border, because if any of you went to the border, and you have been there, I know, that's not enough to even get information.
Yes, Carrie Lake is the best. We're going to go ahead and wrap it up with a video that just popped today, announcing 120 victims of Sean Diddy Combs. So we're going to end with that, at least if you're watching on certain channels. If you're watching on my Rumble channel, just stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick break after this, and when we get back, we'll keep going a little bit longer, just a little bit longer. So stay tuned.
The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken, and victims are coming forward. Our team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases. And you should know, to the extent the clients feel comfortable, we also intend to make these individuals available to the authorities, specifically to the FBI. And you should also know a few of them have already been spoken to by the FBI. Now, before we discuss the nature of the claims and claimants themselves, let me comment on the large volume of calls we have received since our first announcement. Even before the indictment of Sean Combs, we had received a small volume of calls and had screened a handful of cases. After the indictment of Sean Combs and the announcement that we were pursuing these claims, the floodgates opened. People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons, are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice. But no, most of these people are scared. They fear backlash in their communities. They fear backlash in their own families. They are afraid of retaliation from the perpetrators and their associates. They are rightly afraid for their own personal safety. I expect that through this process, many powerful people will be exposed. Many dirty secrets will be revealed. We know what we are potentially up against. And as is always the case in situations like this, when a celebrity is involved, people can be downright mean and nasty. You would be shocked at the length fans will go, no matter the evidence to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love. I mean, there's a reason for this word fans. They're fanatics. I've personally already been threatened multiple times on social media. And when I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This isn't my first rodeo. But victims who step forward to have their voices heard should not be subjected to that kind of conduct. They should not be targeted. I want to say this, and I want to be clear about it. Although we are vetting each call as stringently as we can, I always start with a mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward. So if you're watching this, please hear me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone.
In a world of uncertainty, be prepared with Silver Prepper Bars. Introducing the Silver Prepper Bar. Crafted from .999 pure silver and proudly made in the USA. Portable, perforated, and easily tradable, the Silver Prepper Bar is your lifeline in times of crisis. Silver Prepper Bars provide peace of mind. Don't leave your future to chance. Order your Silver Prepper Bars now at prepperbar.com. Silver Prepper Bars, ready for whatever tomorrow brings. Order now.
Well, I did get some minorly. I mean, it's bad news. But it doesn't affect many people. It does affect me, though. Place that I used to love to go to in Carlsbad, California, is closing down thanks to this economy. I was flabbergasted. I saw this. I'm flabbergasted because this is a place that was always busy, always busy. Okay, you had to get there early if you want. It was a restaurant / little mini grocery store / market. It was German. Had amazing, I mean, just the best meats, the best meats possible, and they're closing down, and they are closed down. I didn't even get a chance to go in there and get it for the last time. And that really chaps my khakis. Tip Top Meat in Carlsbad after more than 40 years. That's insane. 40 years. More than 40 years later, Tip Top Meats in Carlsbad will close its doors for good. Its staff and customers who've been coming here for years have felt the loss. For many customers, it's hard to believe a staple within the community is closing up shop on Monday as they walk into a store full of empty shelves. And yes, I didn't know, so I didn't get to go there. They've been the go-to European market in the neighborhood since 1978. The business was started by a man known by all as Big John, who immigrated to the U.S. from Germany. His granddaughter, Amanda Kennedy, is one of the owners. She said he had $400 in his pocket. He made a promise to his mom that he was going to make the best sausage possible and pursue the American dream. Through the years, the business became more than just an establishment. It truly became a family. This is just incredibly sad. This is what makes the day so difficult for many, from the staff to the longtime customers. One of those was Nang, their famous baker, who has been baking bread for them for more than 13 years. People are smiling. People are welcoming. It's not like a big grocery store where you are just a number. It's very special. But Kennedy says the rise in costs forced them to make the tough decision. One of the hardest things I've been dealing with is the ever-changing business environment, regulatory changes, inflation, cost of living, increased factors we're dealing with, but it's not going to deter us from being successful. It also has been a tough day for customers, you get the idea. So that one hits relatively close to home. I mean, I've been there multiple times. Love the food. We would go there and we'd order food. You could order food and then you'd go grocery shopping. We made the mistake one time of going grocery shopping and then ordering food, and that was dumb until I decided to just go ahead and put because you can't take the carts into the restaurant side of it. Yeah, well, I learned my lesson, and then from then on, we'd go there, we'd wait in line, and there was always a line. I mean, it's not like the place was ever dead. It was never dead. There was always a line. You go there, you get there early, you beat the crowd, you can get in there and get the best German food in the area. Best German food probably in SoCal that I've found so far. And then once you're done eating, you walk around and you go buy meats and all sorts of European stuff. High quality meats. I mean, it was expensive. I probably would have gone there more often if it wasn't expensive. But even as expensive as it was, apparently the costs were just too much. Too much for these guys. That's why all this stuff, all of it, everything that's happening with the economy, it's concerning me. It's concerning you, probably. It's concerning many of us. I had the pleasure of, just before the show, I was able to interview a good friend of mine, Jonathan Rose, from Genesis Gold Group. Let's go ahead and play that interview, and then when we get back, I will close us out. So a lot of people are really concerned about the economy right now. Obviously, with everything that's going on, we've talked about Iran attacking Israel, massive attack there, plus a terrorist attack in Tel Aviv. We've seen what's happening with the dock workers striking, and I've already said that that's an existential threat for our economy. A lot of people are concerned, not just about what's going to happen to the broader U.S. economy, what's going to happen to their money, their finances, their retirement, their life savings. I have my extremely good friend, probably one of my best friends in the whole wide world, which is crazy because he started off as a business relationship, and now sometimes we just chat about what we do over the weekend. But with that said, I'm going to bring on Jonathan Rose, CEO of Genesis Gold Group. Jonathan, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fantastic. Lovely intro. Thank you very much. And I know I haven't had the pleasure to be on your show for a while, so I appreciate you bringing me on and talking about what's happening. There's a lot of important topics that I know that my clients are talking about, and hopefully I get to share them with your audience today.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, that's not your standard background. It does not look like you're in the Beverly Hills office. Where are you right now?
No, we actually opened up a second location. We've been that busy. So you're speaking to me today in Henderson, Nevada, where we have very proud to say we're launching a second location. So it's all hands on deck. And obviously, I think that's a sentiment of people's appetite for the yellow metal based on what's happening in today's economy.
Yeah, well, it's the geopolitics. I've always said that gold and silver is probably the best indicator of geopolitics, and vice versa. When geopolitics springs up and starts affecting us, it affects gold and silver prices. Gold and silver prices then in response often affect what's happening in the world. So I set it up. I told, right off the bat, we've got the dock strike, which I've already pre-established. It could, if it's prolonged, if we're talking 2 weeks or longer, it could decimate the economy. Obviously, with Iran striking Israel, I mean, even the threat of Iran striking Israel made precious metals spike. What do you see in the, take it from what's coming in the days, weeks, and months ahead, and possibly even years, if you'd like to go that far, based upon what you're seeing? Genesis is very education based. What are you seeing out there, and what can people expect from the precious metals?
Yeah, obviously education is key, and people are always resurfacing or like coming up to the top and asking questions about gold. And I think the biggest economic indicator of a safe haven, quite frankly, JD, is my wife called me today and she's like, I'm reading the news with what's happening with Israel and Iran. She read the news the other day about the docks, and is there going to be a food shortage? So anytime my wife is asking me, are we going to be safe? Are we going to be okay? That to me is a light bulb red flag moment that this is something serious, because not saying my wife doesn't follow the news, but she never really calls me and asks me any economic uncertainty questions where an economic storm's a worry for her. That's just something new in my world. But I think today people are waking up to the fact that there is a lot of instability here domestically and internationally. I think with the dock strike that's happened, I think there's going to definitely be some ramifications and a trickle-down effect. If this doesn't get resolved, how many weeks is it before we're going to see some food shortages? If we have food shortages, then we are going to have panic. Panic leads to fear. I even have a couple of people here in Hollywood. Well, obviously we're in California, but some famous people in Hollywood that called me who purchased gold from me, telling me just the other day that their Verizon phone went down for the day. They couldn't make any phone calls. And he's like, what will happen if the cash machines go out? You can't use the credit card. And, we have to be in a cashless society. Jonathan, this is why I'm buying silver from you. This is why I'm buying gold. So, it makes sense. But I think the port issue that we're having with supply chains, if you watch some of my videos, maybe it was with you or maybe back in the beginning of the year when I was doing some podcasts and shows, I said one of the X factors for 2024, because this year I've always said is a year of turmoil, could be supply chain issues. It's something that I talked about. No one really picked up on it, but I've always said that supply chain issues could be the next COVID. So I'm actually focused very closely on what's going to be happening with the food chain issues, not because everyone's going to starve, everyone's going to find a way to find, food to fill their pantries, but it's the trickle-down effect. And that trickle-down effect, one of the funnels that gets hit is fear and panic. And fear and panic is never good for economic indicators. And it's come at the worst possible time, because it's the perfect storm that's brewing, because obviously we're talking about Israel and Iran. And obviously since, Israel's 9/11 on October the 7th, I knew that day that this wasn't going to be a quick response and they would go all on out, like to war. And I think we are on the cusp, I hate to say it, but I think we are on the cusp of World War III. We've got troops being moved to the Middle East. You have Israel under attack by a barrage of rockets. There's going to be, unfortunately, a lot of collateral damage, a lot of deaths. And I think Israel are not going to hold back. Is America going to be dragged into this war? Are we going to have an armed response? And ultimately, who pays for all of this? The taxpayer. And the taxpayer is then going to get hit in the pocketbook where it gets hurt the most, and that's the financial market. So when people talk about, and actually bought one of these to Nevada with me today, because there's some big Nevada gold mines out here. But when you talk about tangible assets, this is really safety and security. This is peace of mind. This is wealth preservation. So with all the instability that's going on, when you talk to me about the outlook of gold, obviously, we don't have a crystal ball, but this is why I always say that statement. No, but we have a pretty good roadmap. And you just have to look at what's hurtling towards us, unfortunately, faster rather than slower. And it's now more important than ever to be proactive and not reactive. You don't buy the flood insurance after the banks burst, you buy it before. So that's why at Genesis Gold Group, we tell people to get an education, find out how gold will protect you from these uncertain times, whether it's bank failures, inflation, the docks running out of food causing panic, whether it's instability in the Middle East. We have a laundry list of issues that we're facing with right now. Plus, we've got an election taking place in like 30 days or less. It's just mind-boggling. So I think it's very important to make sure you have a safety net under your financial assets, especially if it's an IRA or 401k. And to start to do that is to under the importance of a balanced portfolio that does include precious metals such as gold and silver.
Perfect response. I mean, and those who do, by the way, want to learn more, they can go to rumblegold.com or call 800-200-GOLD. That's 800-200-4653. Jonathan Rose with us from Genesis Gold Group. Jonathan, people are saying that if Trump wins, that gold prices are going to go down. If Kamala wins, then gold prices are going to go up. But when I looked back at the historical, like gold and silver prices rose like 51% from the time that Trump started his first term until he left office. What is he the anomaly? Because generally speaking, they say Republicans are bad for gold and silver. Is Trump the anomaly? I mean, do you think that the gold prices or silver prices will go down if he's elected?
I don't believe they'll go down. I think whoever inherits the next $35 trillion in debt is like a circus performer juggling 12 balls up in the air, and they better not drop one. So when you look at all the debt that this country has, and we're, amassing $1 trillion in debt every 90 days, which is larger than our US defense national budget. So I think we're going to have an issue, whoever gets in. Do I think gold would favor a Kamala presidency? My personal beliefs, yes. Do I think gold will still shine bright under Donald Trump? Yes, I do. And I think when you look at former President Trump getting into office, there is a lot for him to fix. So if you're looking at the value and the power of the US dollar, which, by the way, we haven't even discussed that, but the Western's dominance is over and everybody's trying to move away and settle oil, not in US dollars. So this is really the biggest problem the US dollar is facing. And it's a massive challenge. And it's almost like if you see a cruise ship docked in a port in Florida, my family and my parents would take me on these cruise ships. If you've ever seen a cruise ship try and rotate 360 degrees, it's a visual, and that takes a long time. So the analogy I'm making is that it's going to take a long time if former Trump gets into office and can fix everything. And during those times, you still want to kind of have that umbrella up for a rainy day. So I think whoever gets into office, the fundamentals, and ideally if you're into investments and you're looking at fundamentals, you're looking at economic indicators, there are variables out there that neither presidency can fix. And that's going to be really the tipping point, so to speak, of the understanding of the importance of having that safety net under your investment. So I think it's a win-win for gold, whoever gets in. And it really doesn't matter if there was a third party miraculously coming in and replacing Trump and Kamala. Gold is always going to be an integral part of a balanced portfolio. When you look at the track record for gold, it's phenomenal. Financial advisors can't argue. 1 year gold's up over 40%. I forget who it was this morning. I think he was even telling me, price range for gold. People ask me, end of the year, where do you see gold? I said, it could definitely hit 3,000. A lot of big financial AAA rated banks right now are saying 2,900. So I think I'm pretty spot on with the numbers. I think to kind of land softly by the end of this year is going to be a very bumpy landing. And I'm not looking forward to the economic news for 2025. And that's why, you definitely want to buckle up and understand, get that education. I always talk about this. It's not about just purchasing gold. It's getting an education, understanding what you can do for you and your family right now to protect those assets that you've worked. A lot of our clients who purchase gold in their IRAs, they take distributions. They often ask me, well, can I take my distribution in gold? And I say, absolutely, yes, you can. And to me, that's a smart thing you want to do because you want to hold on to this. You could cash it out. You can take a distribution in fiat currency, or you could cash it out and take delivery in gold and silver bars. And my opinion, I think that's one of the smartest moves retirees can make right now who are looking to protect their wealth in physical metals, or if you're just learning how to get started with gold, then I know you mentioned that website Rumble Gold. They can go to Rumble Gold. They can get, a wealth protection kit. We have a new e-guide, the digital dollar defense guide. It's going to kind of talk about central bank digital currencies, which I'm not talking about right now because I know you only have so much time on your show. But again, comes back to the one common denominator for people: get an education, get an understanding of what we're dealing with, and understand the role that precious metals can really provide you with in terms of, economic uncertainty, and really getting that, what I call, flight to safety and security with gold and silver.
Excellent stuff. I had actually a couple more questions. We're just gonna have to get you on like every week because you're just too good at this stuff. Jonathan Rose, CEO of Genesis Gold Group. You can get the wealth protection kit that he'd mentioned, as well as the digital. What did you call it? The digital dollar.
Digital dollar defense guide. So
digital dollar defense guide.
Yeah, people need to be educated on what's happening to the dollar and how we're moving towards a digital dollar. This isn't some, brain scheme idea that's just been cocked up. The wheels are in motion right now through executive orders under the Biden administration. I believe it was June of 22 they started this, the framework. We are heading towards a digital dollar, and it's very imperative that people understand what that means for your money in your bank, your money in retirement accounts, CDs, you name it. The digital dollar defense guide is really an impactful guide that's going to give you an education. So they can get that at rumblegold.com.
I don't have the kind of money that I need to be able to invest, but I actually am very interested in reading that guide myself. They can also call, correct? They can just call 800-200-4653 and also request both that protection kit as well as the digital dollar.
It's a mouthful. I know. The digital dollar defense guide.
Defense guide.
So yeah, they can go to rumblegold.com. And if they want to call us, 800-200-GOLD, which is 800-200-4653. And again, there's no pressure, no high sales tactics. It's just, we're here to help people and guide them and answer their questions. And people do have questions, and it's important to work with people that you feel comfortable with, and people who are knowledgeable and have a great name in the industry. And I may be a little bit biased, but I really think we are probably the best at what we do, and I think that really stands out when people do call us.
Well, I'm definitely biased, and Genesis, being a faith-driven company, has really caught my attention. God bless you, my friend, and let's legitimately talk about doing this every single week. I think that you, look, I couldn't get, if I called any of these other gold companies and tried to get the CEO of the company on, even if I was like a top-notch guy, even if it's like, Steve Bannon's calling or Tucker Carlson's calling, you don't see these CEOs of these other companies going on these shows. So I am very, very honored to have you on, and unfortunately, well, I guess fortunately, you don't just go on my show, you'll go on anybody's show, because you really walk the walk and talk the talk. So that's good stuff. All right, man.
Only people I like. That's the shows I go on. That's the secret.
Nice. All right. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, JD. God bless.
Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure to talk to Jonathan Rose. And I talk to him pretty much every day, but good to talk to him, just to pick his brain on this kind of stuff, because that's something we don't usually talk about. We talk, he comes to me for current events, and I go to him about current events as it pertains to gold and silver. But for the most part, we're just looking at the general consensus here about the economy. And like he said, it doesn't matter who wins the election. There's a very good chance the gold and silver prices are going to go up. So make your move now. Okay, well, that's it for the day. Sorry for the show being late, by the way. Number one, I'm trying out different times. Okay. Number two, I am, because we want to be able to reach the widest, best audience possible. Number two, it was a cluster of a day. One of the hard parts about running businesses and doing shows and running websites and all this, working with gold, working with beef, working with meds, working with all this stuff, is that it does make my schedule pretty frantic. But we are striving to find consistency here in the very near future. Lord willing, I will be back very soon with another episode. But in the meantime, y'all stay strong, stay safe, and God bless. For the last 4 years, coincidentally lining up with the Biden-Harris regime, for the last 4 years, it has made sense to a whole bunch of Americans to move their wealth or their retirement over to physical precious metals. This is a good thing. Okay, and I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not giving you financial advice. I'm just telling you that it's happening. A lot of Americans are doing it, and they know why they're doing it. Between de-dollarization, inflation, the potential for recession, everything that's going on, the turmoil that's going to come with the presidential election, regardless of who wins, by the way, there's going to be economic turmoil before, during, and after the election. We know this. This is coming. So a lot of people are trying to find the higher ground of physical precious metals. The challenge there is that not all gold companies are made the same. Look, I know that you might seem like they are. It seems like, everybody's got their conservative commentators that promote them. The difference between me and these other conservative commentators and show hosts and whatever is that I actually did my research. And unfortunately, I've come to the conclusion that the other ones could not have, because if they did, many of them, not 100%, but a lot of them, if they did their research, if they knew exactly what they were promoting, there was no way they would touch these companies with a 10-foot pole. A lot of these companies are promoting their gold and silver, but they're doing so at huge markups. I mean, we're talking sometimes over 100% markup on the gold and silver they're putting into gold IRAs. I work with a faith-driven company, Genesis Gold Group, and they do not charge enormous premiums on top of the gold in order to get you your $10,000 in free silver or whatever gimmick is being pushed. They just deal with you directly, honestly, from a faith-driven perspective. This is the only company I've ever seen in the industry that actually will sit there and pray with you. So check them out, see if they can help you. Go to rumblegold.com.